Well, good morning, good evening to everybody out there. How's everybody doing during this time? We really thank you for coming aboard. Welcome to the ZENcast. Welcome you during this time, the global coronavirus, everything that's going on with sheltering in and isolating. We appreciate your time and coming out and visiting with us here on ZENcast. And we have some things to do today. So we want to let you know, even through this, Micro Focus is here for you. We'll continue to support you in your environments in any way we can through this difficult time. Support is fully staffed and sheltering in from home, but we're able to work from home. So enjoy that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. ZENcast, what is it? It's your forum, your live forum, so that you can interface with the developers, the product managers, engineers, and so forth on the team, so that we can enhance it and get it better for you. So ZENcast doesn't exclude anything else. It still plays your SRs if you're having an issue, but hopefully we can guide you in the right direction through questions. And there's a chat down there that you can go ahead and use. Feel free to ask questions in there either during the time or while we're going through different sections. We're going to have some demonstrations on the stream, and we hope that this will help improve our product videos by the feedback you give us live. Are we reaching you is the question I have. So we want to make sure that we're reaching you. How many, shout out in the chat if you've been here before, or if this is something that interests you or is working for you. We'd really like to know and get some feedback that way. We do have a survey that I'll post at the end of the meeting, but just check it out. Is there anybody out there in chat that you can shout out, give us some feedback on if this is something that interests you and works? So go ahead and do that in chat while I do some housekeeping. So we have some housekeeping today. Remember, the stream delay is about 60 to 90 seconds. So if I'm not responding immediately, that could be because it hasn't gotten to me yet. The chat itself is real time, but me talking to you is about 60 to 90 seconds off. So you can put in chat comments and questions. You can put in commands with an exclamation point. You'll see that when we do voting on polls. You can reply to somebody else that's already been responded in chat by putting an @ sign and then their name, and they'll go directly to them and it'll highlight for them that somebody's talking to them directly. Again, the polls, the command exclamation vote in the variable, and then we've noticed that on the YouTube settings, check out the gear at the bottom, set it to, instead of auto, set it to specific settings so that you can get a good quality of this. So next we got our housekeeping in. Let me go ahead and get my devices set up right here. Okay, so I'm going to leave a poll up for a minute or two to kind of find out what the audience time zones are. Let me see if I can find that poll here. It's going to be this one here. No, it's this one here. Okay, so out there's going to be a poll in chat. You can go ahead and then vote. You know, if you're North America, EMEA, Asia Pac, South America, go ahead and vote. You got about 5 minutes to do that, so you got time. So also there's as I mentioned, there's a survey out there which will help us understand your environment as well as what you're interested in and how we can better facilitate this particular ZENcast for you. Last week we had ZCM upgrade options. We had migrating the ZSD from 7.5 to 8.1.2 on the online updates with the product upgrade button and using the administration console with online updates and so forth. So we had Sudipta Roy, product manager, service desk on, and he gave us some highlights on the product changes. Today we have Vikram Goyal, product manager for ZENworks, configuration manager. He's going to come on with us and give us some details. Let me give you some conference news today. We're going to look at our conference news. Let's see what we got here. So in our news feed, we have our, let's go here, get them in order here. Sorry about that. So again, the ZENcast is going through April 27th. By that time, we'll wrap it up. See if this was advantageous for you. If it's a way to reach the customer, great. And then we'll go ahead and determine if it's going to carry on. We'll also be understanding, if you take that survey, we'll be understanding the frequency that you would like it, once a month, every other week. There's a lot to cover, but we also don't want to overwhelm you in those things. That's what the webinars are for and so forth. Micro Focus Virtual Conference was a hit last week. They had an overwhelming number of people coming in and taking those courses and registering. So the next one's coming up in May. It's going to be virtual as well. So be sure to register and look for those events. TTP 2020 USA is coming July 13th through 17th. Should we not be shut down, I'm sure that's going to carry on as normal. So be aware of that. And the registration is out there on the conference site. And last week we kind of covered some of these items that are coming down the pike. Don't need to repeat them all again. You know, the engineers and developers are hard at work getting some of these aspects of the product in line for you. Do want to note that the ZENworks 2020 Update 1 beta is out. And they're also looking for, the target date is release May. And they're also looking for Lighthouse customers. If you haven't been a Lighthouse customer, be aware of that particular program. Typically, when you're in the beta, it makes it easier to be a Lighthouse customer because you know the new enhancements that we need to focus on. And then, as a Lighthouse customer, you can actually have an engineer help you step up your production environment to the new product step by step. So you have a direct contact with an engineer at all times so that you can make sure that's a success. And this is by the time they're just about ready to release. Typically, it's just a week before the release, just to make sure there are no final gotchas. But an engineer is helping you all the way. So be aware of that. Note the other things that we're doing. The Oracle to PostgreSQL version 3 of the database migration tool for ZCM is soon to come out. They are working hard on that. I saw documentation with that just the other day. So we're getting close with that. That would be version 3. So be aware of those programs. Happy if you want to know about any of those, email at zen@microfocus.com so that we can contact you and make sure that you get involved. Some of the other news, we got that one. Hang on, product news. Next is webinars. We've been through these last week as well. I did just, they're looking at Q2, so you'll see this list grow again as the Q2 webinar series starts coming in. We're going to have some of those for you. We try to keep that going. Again, many of the engineers and the developers and the product managers are working hard to make sure that we have the continuing information for you on the new enhancements and product information. So be aware that that's coming soon. Not too much more to report there. And then finally, you know, we had this last week, the forums and articles, but I apologize that I didn't even put TIDs on here. This is an ever-growing list, and I don't want to go through all of these either. Be aware that they're out there. We have things for patch and bundles and service desk. These are, go out to the forums. There's plenty of things. You'll probably find somebody already encountered what you've encountered, and you can talk directly with them through the forum. And we have engineers watching those forums as well to help give some guidance through TIDs and things that may have been missed, documentation and so forth. So and I've seen it where you have an issue and it's actually a defect. So they'll post it on there. So anybody that responds to that forum will actually see that there's a defect. We'll go ahead and get that. You'll know how to respond if it is a defect. So it's very informative out there. Be able to use the forums. And the last, let's see, we have There he is. We have our guests coming in. I'm going to introduce Vikram. Let me put this screen on. Hey Vikram, how you doing?
Hey Paul, how are you?
Good. I'm going to get your screen up. Hang on one sec. I'm still working on it here. It's over. I think I have it on the next one. There you are. So, that isn't how I wanted it. This is the first time we're doing Teams on this one, so give me a quick minute to adjust my screen. We got Vikram Goyal here. He is the product manager at ZENworks Configuration Management. And how you doing, Vikram?
I'm doing fine, Paul. How about you?
Doing well. Working from home,
Oh
as we all
yes.
are. Yes. What a time. Well, I'm glad you're able to make
Yeah,
it today because I know it's a different time of day for you. It's the evening for you, but I appreciate you coming aboard
no
and
problems.
visiting with us. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm going to go ahead and put another poll out there real quick. Hang on one second. Let me put a poll regarding update one because you're going to be talking about update one, and I want to see how many people are going to basically um, be waiting before they go to update one. So in the chat, you can go ahead and see that update one. There's a poll out there. Go ahead and do a vote. And if you're waiting, you're going to update before update one. Do exclamation point vote before or exclamation point vote wait. Okay. So in the meantime, we're going to talk to Vikram about 2020 came in with system requirements. We got a Vertica database. You know, tell me a little bit about what this Vertica database is for.
Vertica, it's a big data database. So we actually got this database as a courtesy when the Micro Focus acquired the assets of the HP. So that's a product line from the HP side, and it came in. So this is not a relational database. So this is something very different from the normal MS SQL or the Postgres database which you are used to. So what this DB actually allows you is to store big amounts of the data. And what you can do is that then you can do a lot of the analytics on the top of it, and it can help you retrieve things data much faster. So um, the reason why we actually got it in ZENworks is because of the CV. So, as you know, with 2020, we introduced the functionality where you can actually get the CV data into the ZENworks, and then you can match it up with the patch data and get a security viewpoint of how vulnerable your zone may be. So, I believe Darren talked about it a couple of weeks back, right?
Yes, yes. Darren did a couple weeks back.
Yeah, yeah. So to accommodate such a kind of the data. So if you look at it, typically what we have is that we may have right now 100,000 vulnerabilities which we take in as a feed from the NVD site. And if you take, let's say, a zone, maybe which has 50,000 devices. So not all of these may be applicable, but even some of them are applicable. You can actually see the number of the data which we may need to hold can grow into many, many millions and so. So with this kind of the data being coming into the play, and where we are right now providing you with an ability where you can actually do a lot of the drill downs, you can do find out filters, and all those things in the play. What we found is that our normal databases, just the ones which we support with ZENworks, say the MS SQL Postgres, or they cannot really scale up in a bigger set of the environments. And that is the reason to support our bigger customers who may actually have a need where they are running zones with thousands and thousands of the devices, and they may want to use this functionality. We felt that to make it happen, for them to actually really use the CV, we need a different kind of the database, which is Vertica, and in which data is not really stored in a relational format, but it is stored in a columnar format, and it allows for the more easier access, faster access, and hence we decided to bundle it in.
So the,
So it's bun. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. So this is for. It isn't just for those. It could be for the smaller customers as well because of the CVs. There's so many vulnerabilities coming in that this gives you fast response on who's been patched and who's not. Right in the reporting.
Yeah, Yeah, typically it can be, but what we have seen is that you don't really require. So, see, again, it's a kind of the, if you say it's a kind of the performance issues, right? If most of the DB, if you can actually pull a lot of the data in, right, they may scale up, but again, depending upon it, the rate at which you take the data out or the rate at which you put in, that can always cause a problem. So what we found in our performance testing is, let's say for us customers, let's say who are using maybe under 10,000 set of the devices, you may not really see a problem with using your Postgres or the other set of the DBs in the zone. So for those set of the customers, we believe that you may not really require Vertica at all. But if you are using more than that number,
Okay.
and that's when we actually see that the numbers can multiply. See, again, it's like a factor. Like the more the devices you have, the more the vulnerabilities you may have, and if you multiply them together, you'll have more of the data
Exponentially.
which we need to process, right? So with a lesser set of the scale, and which we believe there are a lot of our customers who actually are maybe using between 1,000 to 10,000 set of the devices, I don't really see that they need to really use Vertica
So they
at
don't need
all.
to prop up an extra appliance just for this.
No, no.
It's
So
like
for them, that's
overkill.
not.
Gotcha.
It's right, yeah, overkill. And what we found is that for the Vertica, essentially, that if you are using in Vertica plants, you may actually need a little bit more higher horsepower than what you're really been using with ZenWorks server. So with a Vertica appliance, you may actually see the memory, typical memory being 16 gig or 32 gig with more set of the hard disk and more set of the CPUs being in the place. So that obviously increases up the cost part also. So we don't really see that really being needed by the customers who are between 1,000 to 10,000 devices or
The
so.
smaller customers,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
So in let's move on over to update one. It's coming down the line. It's coming real close. We're in beta right now,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you have some beta customers. We're looking for Lighthouse customers. Can you expound on
definitely.
that?
Yeah, we definitely are looking for the Lighthouse. And as you mentioned, in Lighthouse program, what we do is that we help our customer, whoever chooses to join it, move to the latest build of the ZenWorks. So in that case, that would be the update one. And that essentially means that you get an assisted upgrade path from wherever you are. And I believe that a lot of the customers do find it helpful for a support engineer or the engineering team to work with them to upgrade. And obviously, this means that they can actually get to the latest version the fastest. Actually, effectively, they will be the first customer to have the latest version running on their in their environment. And we'll definitely help you with any other set of the issues which you may have and help you all along. So it's a great opportunity for customers to upgrade, and in turn what it provides us with is a very good feedback where we can identify any kind of the issues which may affect a larger set of the audience, and it will help us identify if there are at all and to fix them
Very
before
good.
it just gets out in the wild.
Yeah, I know when I was a customer, I did the Lighthouse. It was very advantageous, one, to be on the beta to see what's coming up and to
Yeah.
experience the install, as well as on the Lighthouse, being able to have an engineer, the comfort of that engineer being able to help you if anything goes wrong. So that's a great program. What are the
Yeah.
top three exciting things you see in Update 1?
There are a lot of them, but I think a couple of them Darren has already mentioned a couple of weeks back. So one of the key things which we are doing is that we are trying to pick up stuff which we wanted to do as part of 2020, but we ran out of the time. And the reason was that we actually had a contractual obligation where we had to discontinue the Sybase as a
Oh, right,
database.
right.
Right. So we had just a deadline. We just couldn't really fit in more last minute stuff, the something which just comes in
Sure,
last minute. And being a product manager, we wanted to be greedy, but at this time, our hands were really tied by the legal.
sure. So you can only fit so many things in. I understand. So
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
Update
So
1 is
we,
following. Yeah.
yeah, so update one in that respect is more like a typical service pack, which we used to do maybe 2 to 3 years back before we started on this 6 month cadence, where we were issuing out more of the fixes in the place or more some bug fixes and some small set of features. So if you want to compare, it is that. But obviously, I know as you were mentioning that a lot of the people are actually waiting for the update one to come out before they actually move to the 2020 at all. So what
Yep.
was the result of your poll? Was that something which your poll told you?
Yeah, the poll, we didn't get much response on the poll, but I'm sure as me being a former customer, sometimes we did wait for that update one just to
Yeah,
make sure those fixes because a major release
yeah,
change, you never know what's going to happen. And
agree.
so when will update one be released? What do you have forecast for us?
So we're working hard on it, and as you mentioned, so we are currently running beta, and our beta program is supposed to be running for another, I think, 2 to 3 weeks, and after that we will run our Lighthouse program. So that will be somewhere in the mid of April, and that will be for the 2 week duration. So potentially you can expect the update one to drop in somewhere in maybe first week of May or so.
Very good.
Uh,
Very good.
yeah,
So,
and I just think I missed out on the key things which were coming in update one. Do you want me to expound on that, or you
oh,
want me to
please.
come back?
Yeah. No, please.
Right. Yeah. So as I was telling, Darren did mention a couple of things which the smaller set of the items, but really useful to fully use the security dashboards which we have brought in. Another thing which I'm really very excited about in update one is the tools. So as you know, right, you actually mentioned at the start of your webcast that we have now MS SQL and Oracle migration tools which are available. So this has been a long pending demand back from our customers, and even during our 2020 phase, we found a lot of customers who wanted not only to move from Sybase but also from Postgres, from the MS SQL and Oracle to Postgres. That's actually one of the key things which we worked on as part of this update one, and that's the reason you actually have those tools going to production. So I know for sure that the Oracle tool, Oracle support is right now in the process of upload, and I believe it should be out maybe within a week or so, if all
Yeah.
goes well.
Yeah, I saw the
So
documentation on that. That's great.
right. So that's a one key thing. And another thing which I'm really excited about is a couple of the MDM features which we have been able to sneak in. So as I mentioned,
Right.
so this is more like a service pack release. So we were not really planning to sneak in some features, but at the last moment, one of the teams really got excited and they did a really fabulous job and were able to bring in some of the functionality. So this is again a long-standing demand that where the admins were looking to deploy web application shortcuts onto the mobile devices. So this has been there for quite some time. It was possible on the iOS device to do that, maybe using this configuration profiles, but it wasn't possible on the Android devices. So I'm happy to say that's something which is now coming in as part of the update one. It was a last minute addition, and the
Oh,
team did
great.
really, yeah, team did really did that. And another couple of bug fixes, which are really good ones, which are coming in, are on the again on the MDM side. One concerns with the more on the VPP apps were not getting updated, so that has been. I'm sure that you have seen numerous SRs over there coming in
What
from our customers.
you got some feedback there.
Right,
There
you
you
would
go.
have
You're
seen.
good.
Yeah, so you would have seen numerous SRs coming in where the VPP apps were not getting updated automatically. So that's something which we try to fix it as part of we have fixed as part of the update one itself.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, yeah. We did receive some of those, and we're concerned
Yeah.
about that. But it's really. And what about update two? Can you tell us about update two, which is release time or targeted time, and what do you have enhancing in there?
Update 2 is a big one. So it's like a mother, it's a big release, and
Big
actually we have
release
been
for
working.
enhancements
Oh
as
yeah,
well. Oh,
definitely.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's I mean, actually, it's such a big release that even during this update one timeline, half of our engineering team has been actually working on the update two itself. So we have so many big set of features coming in your way that we didn't thought that we can just do all of the stuff within 6 months timeline, which we have within update. So we thought that we need more time. So actually, we started on update two just after 2020 itself.
So you jump started
So
it early.
right, so we have been working on that from that time onward. So uh, I believe Darren did mention a couple of weeks back that we are bringing in anti-malware functionality with update two. Did he or
Correct.
not?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago you mentioned that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, right. So that's one of the key major features which we are bringing in. But there's another thing on the board. So we are also bringing in support for the Windows 10 MDM management. So that's the another big feature. So I'm not sure, but if our customers know, but every Windows 10 device actually has an MDM agent which is built in. So this is something similar to what you actually have for an iOS device. If you take an iOS device has an MDM agent already built in, and that's why when you actually want to enroll a iOS device into ZENworks, you don't really need an app, unlike that of an Android device, because it already has an agent in. And what we do with an iOS device is that we just send out a profile and it configures itself. So something similar to that is available also with a Windows 10 device. So what it allows you to do is that you can actually send out a profile, or the users can log in with their creds, and it can then be managed without having a need to install any application or any agent on the device. So essentially, clientless management is something which is possible. So, so that's something which we are bringing in as part of the update too. But if you are interested in having a sneak peek, actually some of this capabilities already available in ZENworks 2020 itself. So in 2020 itself, we enabled where you can actually enroll your devices into ZENworks using the Windows 10 MDM agent without having any client itself.
So we're basically talking one agentless, but it's interesting that we're using the native Microsoft MDM capabilities into ZENworks.
Exactly. So we are interfacing with them and we are managing it. And the point there is that with this management being there, you can actually do so much more onto the device. So you can set down policies, you can configure Windows Defender, you can configure how the updates are flown out. You can configure a lot of the policy settings which were earlier available only through GPO. You can actually push them down. You can deploy applications, both Windows 32 applications or the store applications. They can be deployed, so on and so forth. Almost I think there's such a big list. I think there are more than thousands odd things which you can actually do on a device if you can actually manage it with using Windows 10 MDM agent.
The next step, that's fantastic that we're able to utilize that and leverage their native MDM capabilities. So audience, if you're just joining us, this is Vikram Goyal, the product manager for ZENworks Configuration Manager. He's joined us today as a guest to discuss some of the aspects of ZCM, and we've been talking a little bit about updates. And one thing I wanted to ask Vikram is, remote management's gone through its cycle as well the last few releases. You've enhanced that as well.
Oh yeah, we have. So this is something which we have actually heard a lot of feedback back from a lot of our customers. I do vividly remember a customer whom we met and who had a lot of complaints about how difficult it was, or how slow our remote management clients were. So they were managing it centrally from a location, and they had sites which were all around the world, and they were facing a lot of the challenges back over there. So this got us thinking that there can be some better way to do that. So when we went back and investigated, we found that the version what we were using was pretty old itself, and the latest version had a lot of the new capabilities, and it was much, much faster. So with 2020 itself, we actually updated our remote management client to a totally new viewer, and so this was an older version of the VNC, type VNC, which we use as a back, and we upgraded to a newer version. And in our internal testing, we found that it significantly improved the performance, the lags, all those were gone, and so on and so forth. So with 2020, we started out with something like an experimental version. So you can actually use your older version, older client, but you had the ability to switch back to the newer client if you wanted to try that on. With update 1, we have essentially completed the development, and now what we're going to do is that the newer client is going to be the default client, and the older client, if you still require it for some set of the scenarios, will be the one which you can actually put them in. But we have seen, again, to mention that we have seen really great performance improvements on this particular client, and we are very excited about it. And we are really looking for a feedback as to what further we can do to improve it, or if there's some issues which you may want us to more to be addressed. So if you have some out to the customers, do let us know.
Yeah, so
we take this very seriously.
Chat, shout out if you have any experience with that new remote management in 2020. We're really looking for that feedback. Again, this forum is for you. Please dial into chat and give us some feedback. That'll be great, or on the surveys, or again at zen@microfocus.com. So You know, the customer portal out there, there's a customer ideas portal, and I think it's very advantageous for the customer to be able to put out there different ideas to help enhance the products. What are some of the, how often is that viewed? Give us a little scope on how your team uses that.
So that actually forms a very critical input to when we actually go ahead and plan our release. So we generally try to reserve some set of the bandwidth back for these customer ideas. The problem there with obviously for us as a product manager is to really balance the newer forward-looking things which we want to do with the enhancements and the things which the customers are looking for. But we try to do our best. So typically you may see not the big ticket items. So what we have seen is that the items which have the most votes are generally the bigger ticket items. So we tend to pick them maybe one at a time. And we have been in last 2 to 3 releases, we have significantly doubled down on this and try to get them through the engineering investigation. So we understand and then have them ready. So as and when we actually have bandwidth, we can actually just slot them in. So even with ZENworks 2020, I think we had almost 8 to 10 ideas which we picked up. But again, to emphasize, you may not really see your topmost ideas straight away come in, but what we try to do is to broaden a net. So we do try to pick out some smaller ideas which may be more easier for us to do, but maybe still be more important to you. It may not have garnered that many votes from the overall community, but to that set of the customers who have voted for it, I'm sure that they're pretty important. So we try to broaden our net and pick across the board some of these ideas and get them in. I know for sure that that is still not enough. At this point in the time, we have so many ideas over there, but we are still limited by the kind of the engineering bandwidth which we have. So we try to do our best. And what I can assure you is that these ideas will keep on finding their way into the product at a rate. So you may see in some releases where not many of them make it, but then what we will end up doing is that in the next set of the release, we'll try to make up for it and we'll try to get more of these ideas across. So they, again, to emphasize, these ideas form a really critical, give us really good insight into what you as customers are looking for. And we really value the input and the votes and the time you spent on grooming them, on voting for them, and even talking about it. That's really helpful for us, and we do keep on coming back to it again and again to see what we can do, what we can pick, and get them into the product there. So you may not see them straight away, but they will happen.
They're all considered, yeah. And you have to take into account the coding, the time spent, if there's an adjustment in different things for the code, sure. So, well, that's great that that's out there. Chat, be sure to go out there and put in your ideas, vote for those ideas. Go ahead.
Another thing which we see over the ideas is, and this is a feedback which we get, is that, okay, we not really able to respond that much. One thing is that for us, a lot of these ideas do really make sense, but unless I actually can get them through my engineering pipeline, it might not really be right for me to actually mark them in. So even right now, I have a couple of ideas which I know for sure are under development, but I may not have actually gone ahead and marked them as a, say, plant, because given the release timelines, I'm not really sure whether I can still get them in time or not. If we get them in time, so maybe at the end of the release, by the time when we're releasing, when we are sure that they are in the code, that's when we'll actually go ahead and mark them as planned. So you may see for some of these ideas, you may have heard about it, that we are working on them, but you may not see them planned. But if we have told you that we are working on it, they will get there as planned sooner or later.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, again, you have to kind of judge how you have your workforce as well as getting it into the product and the release. So like you jump started at 2020. So ZRS 7.2 was just released, and I think that's a great product. Being able to, it's free for anybody that has ZCM. So I encourage anybody out there to prop up an appliance with ZRS. We're going to cover some of that today in a demonstration on how to connect those up. But can you tell us a little bit about the latest release in 7.2?
So 7.2 is actually, in that respect, has been a totally redesigned from the Jasper side. So our earlier release was 6.4.3, and that was pretty old one, but we waited quite a long for Jasper to go into the 7.0 cycle. And fortunately, our wait has been really well justified. what we have found that with 7.2, there has been significant performance improvements in some of the reports which we have run at our end. So we hope that our customers are going to see significant report performance improvements over there. Again, another key thing which we have brought in with this release is our support for the Vertica. So earlier in this conversation, we mentioned that we are bringing in Vertica as another DB. So obviously, we'll also want you to provide you with an ability where you can actually report on the data which lies within Vertica. So we have come up with another domain using which you can report on the Vertica DB.
Sure, I saw that.
So
I saw that in my demo that I'll put together today. That there's a Vertica DB, and if you don't have it, it says, "Oh, by the way, I need one in order to use it." But I think it's great that you can plug into Service Desk, you can plug into configuration management to get all those reporting a little bit, those intimate reporting details. So, and I think I'm working on trying to get Jason on next week to show some ZRS reporting, so we can kind of have a demonstration on that in full for reporting itself. Today will be connecting, but anyway, yeah, that's so community forums are publishing documents about these new features. Darren talked a few weeks ago. You talked this week. I'm hoping to get you back so that you can demo maybe the Windows 10 MDM or some of that process in a future ZENcast.
I will love to do that, Paul.
Oh, that'd be great. That'll be great because it really gives the community a view into what they have capabilities of right now that they own, and enhancing their products, enhancing their environment through our product. So, is there any other shout outs you have for us as far as what you have going with your team?
Yeah, one thing I think I missed out on this conversation is the key thing which we actually missed out in 2020 itself, support for Mac OS Catalina.
The Mac, yes.
Yeah, so that's going to come in as part of update 1. So Apple changed the way, as you know, right? The reason we missed out is that Apple's new securitization notarization rules, and it actually broke things pretty heavily for us. So there was a lot of catch up for us to do. But I'm happy to say that we have been able to overcome those issues, and we'll be able to support Mac OS Catalina as part of update 1. That's coming in.
Very good. And for those that haven't heard, as far as we're staying at home. A lot of the students have those Chromebooks. What are we doing as in ZENworks to help with the Chromebooks?
Unfortunately, right now we can't really do much over there. So what the Google has been doing is that they have been actually guarding that API pretty much very close to heart. And so there are a couple of vendors which have actually got access, but not more than that. So we still haven't been able to get access to that API. And so that's one of the reasons that why we can't really do much to manage Chromebook from ZENworks.
As soon as they release that, I'm sure we'll be right on it. So
yeah,
that's fantastic. I know it's been asked quite a bit from customers. So
really,
yeah, it's kind of a restriction on the Google side, unfortunately. So, well, that's anything else? I think it's been exciting. Thank you for coming aboard.
Yeah. No problems, Paul. Well, happy to be here.
Yes, and thank you for coming aboard today. We're going to move on into our demo, but we hope to have you back in future ZENcasts so that you can show some other demos.
Sure, love to.
All right, thank you. You have a great day.
You too.
Okay, chat. Here we go. So let me set up my demonstration here, see if we can get this rolling. So I hope you enjoyed that particular conversation with Vikram. He's product manager of ZCM and has a lot of knowledge on what's coming up and how we need to do things and what we're trying to provide for the ZENworks product line. And we're going to move on into, if you're want feedback, go ahead and subscribe so you can put comments down below after this recording is published. And again, if you need to make comments or have some questions, zen@microfocus.com. we'll get you some answers there. Last week we had the ZSD appliance upgrade from 7.5 to 8.1.2 via the online updates and product upgrades. If you haven't seen this, you can go back and see the recording on the ZENcast playlist. This week we're going to do, we're connecting ZENworks 2020, ZSD, and ZRS all together. So basically, we're registering ZCM to ZSD. And again, if you have ZCM, you have ZENworks reporting, and you own ZENworks reporting, and you own ZENworks Service Desk 2 licenses. So be aware that if you have ZCM, you have these products already in-house. You just need to prop up appliances for those. We've done some backups. I'm going to go over to my other screen here. Let's see. There we are there. And this may be a little bit small, but we're going to be using a browser most of the time. So let me pull up my browser. Just as a matter of showing you, we have an AD directory, and we have a MSSQL for Service Desk. We have a 2020, this has been upgraded to 2020, ZCM, and then our Service Desk appliance with the ZRS appliance. So we're going to go ahead and connect to those here now. Okay. Some of the things that you, let's go here, because I think I have it. Yes. Some of the documentation you want to have in hand, obviously, would be ZENworks. We're waiting for it to reconnect. Apologies on the delay here. It's not terribly fast. I probably would use this one here. So 91 is our ZRS device. All we did was prop up, add a device, propped it up, added a VA storage disk, and then moved forward with the install. So this is the first time actually powering it up, and we're logging in as VA admin. It'll come up with this is ready to be configured for use. So we're going to configure a new ZENworks reporting server. One thing I do want to make sure that you're aware of, it's kind of obvious, but double check the documentation on system requirements. Make sure you backed up things on different areas of the system, like databases and so forth. But if you go to ZENworks reporting, you can then see there's an upgrade process if you're coming from 6.4, and then if you're installing it. So we're doing an install. Obviously, the appliance deployment, it tells you to put in another virtual disk, and then configuring the appliance, which is where we are right now. If we look at my text, I've written out all the IPs for Active Directory. These are the things we're going to connect to, right? The ZRS, ZCM, ZSD, the databases. You can see that the ZCM database is embedded because it's the same IP here, but the Service Desk has a separate database, MSSQL. We're going to do ZCM registration with ZSD. We do that in ZCC. So we'll go ahead and first, we're going to start off on the appliance and configure a new ZENworks reporting server. Okay, we're not generating any new, we're using the internal. Sorry, I went a little quick. We're doing an internal certificate. So we're just going to select configure new ZENworks reporting. I'm going to do a ZRS admin right here. and password, and we're going to hit next. So this is the administrator that has rights in ZENworks reporting. And it wants you to connect, since you're bringing up ZENworks reporting server. It says, okay, well, to use us, you need a domain. Connect to a domain. So we're going to add, and we're going to do from a management zone. And if we look, we had our 192.168.1.27, and we're going to use the administrator. And you can see the domains down here. You have ZENworks domain, you have the audit domain, and this is what you could do reporting on. And then the bundle domain. Now, bundle domain came in 2017 because it was just ZENworks and audit. And sometimes when you're trying to get bundle statistics and so forth, it takes a lot of compilations in the ZRS. So they made a separate bundle domain because that was a high demand to get bundle information, right? Stats on what's been upgraded and what hasn't, and so forth. There's also the Vertica domains. If you don't have a Vertica domain, it'll ask you for one, and you can't move forward if you don't have one. I don't have one, so we're going to continue here. We're going to hit add here. And it's going to reach out, try and authenticate in as administrator on the 2020 box. You can see it came back and it says, okay, we got the ZENworks domain, bundle domain, and audit domain. So now we can add those and hit next. There's our certificates. We'll do internal. If you were doing an external, you could then do so and then obviously bring those in. For ease of time, we'll do it this way. Now this will take a few minutes, so we're going to go off to a couple other areas here. We're going to register our ZSD and ZRS. I'm sorry, ZSD and ZCM together. So if we go to the ZCM box, 27, log in to ZCC. This has been upgraded to 2020. Okay. I do have an LDAP certificate that's expired, and that's my e-directory. My AD is still valid. I upgraded that recently. So if we go to configuration, we're going to go to service desk registration. Now you'll see that it's been here before, but I've also done some things, and this is my test environment. So we're going to make sure that we have the proper settings. Oh, see, this has been changed. So that's going to fail. Let's go ahead and do number 3. Going to get caught up and it's going to fail. Don't think I caught it in time. Yeah. So let's go ahead and going to reach out to 201, get the latest. You can see we just upgraded this particular digitalair.com. There's our new certificate. And we will hit OK. Now ZCM can talk to Service Desk. Let's go over to Service Desk. And if we look at Service Desk, we are on 201. If there's any questions, feel free to shout them out in the chat. Okay, we can log into SD admin here. Let's see. Sign in. And we have, actually we're going to configure, we're going to go to Classic. You can see that we're on 8.1.2, which is the latest. We're going to go in. I have my administrator on, so we're going to go in and log in. We're in the administration console. We're in the admin properties of the user console. We're going to go to setup. We are going to go to ZENworks, and we are going to do a ZENworks import. We're going to create new because that 27 is old because it's on a different database. We're going to go ahead and do we're going to do it was Sybase, so now we have to do Postgres. Need to put another identifier in here. And it's going to be ZENworks. That was the name of the zone, Zen admin. Now I need to get the password, which I have already taken by doing zman DGC. You get the Zen admin password, right? After you authenticate on the ZENworks zone. So we're going to grab this, put it in here. It's just ZENworks. And then we can then test connected to the external asset management system. So it's connected to the Postgres. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to run some items for our store or our import into service desk this way. We're going to hit save. Oh, I got contracts enabled. So we will go ahead and do system user. Okay, so now we have a connection to the Postgres, and we can do an analyze. And what it's going to do is it's going to connect, go out there, try to figure out all the different bundles and devices that it's going to import. Okay, so it's going to analyze the database. After it's done, we'll be able to connect and then go to the store. So back to where's our reporting server? It's still 20%. So it's connecting. We're going to connect the service desk to this next. So, and that's via a file. So we're waiting here. Let's go to ZCM. We can see under our reporting, under our alarm or alerts, that the analysis summary is in. It's completed. We can then close. We can then do an import. Notice the import button now came in because analysis was done. And it's going to start importing the selected items from ZENworks. That way, and if we look at our ZENworks Control Center, we can see we have a number of items. We have some workstations, some servers, some bundles. So we can go ahead and we're importing those. We're going to hit done. See if where we have this. We have 0 probably because we already have some in here. I've done this before and it matches up. Let's go to user. Let's go to store setup. Yeah, we already have these in. So these would import in. The alert showed that there was no updates because we already had these imported in. You can see that none of them have been promoted to the store. So for instance, if you wanted to distribute your WinSCP bundle, anybody that wanted it in your environment can use it in a sense, let's say, whatever that may be. Maybe it's Adobe Reader or whatever. you can then go and promote this into the store. And we're going to the default store template. We're going to hit save. And you can see that it's now promoted. So if we looked at store items, I actually have a few in here. There's a WinSCP. It was created here. All right. So you can change this icon. You can change this description. It'll take in the ZENworks description unless you tell it otherwise. You can tell it when it's published. You can give a description so when they go to the store, they can actually see this product in the store. Let's see how we're doing on our reporting aspect. We're 35%. So there's our setup. Let's go ahead and if you edited this. Okay, we'll hit save. Then if we go to our store, and we are on 201. Now let me log out. We'll log in as eBrock. He's a customer, so he basically will get his service desk. If we go to the store, we can see the WinSCPs right here. There's other things you can provision. You can use this for provisioning. And again, this is the ability to do this with no extra cost to you. The store is available to you just because you have 2 licenses, and users can go out there and be able to provision themselves with enterprise applications, Adobe readers, get updates, those types of things, whatever you want to display in here. So be aware that that's available to you. We're almost done here. This is the first round. I'll go ahead and we're set up between ZCM again, that's under setup, and ZENworks. Okay, we did this one here. We connected here. Your other settings are in here. LDAP, that's where you'd connect your users up, your database. Okay. And we are currently at 812. All right, next we're going to move over back to reporting. We got to be close to done. You can view the configuration log at any time. It'll tell you what's been done, how far it's gotten, and if you wanted to do all messages, you can see those. What will it require? It will obviously require a reboot after this configuration, and we'll see how that transfers in just a minute. It'll actually tell you in the administration console to reboot. All right. So we'll give it another couple minutes. Anybody using ZRS in chat? So who's using ZRS? Has anybody had experience in ZRS? Has anybody, and I'm sure there's people obviously viewing that are in ZCM and ZSD. Who's doing ZSD and who's doing ZCM? Go ahead and put in chat what might be your products that you're using. We're waiting for this to finish. I'll go ahead and put out another poll out there. You guys are quiet. You guys are quiet. Hope I'm not putting you to sleep. Let's do a poll. Another couple things to remember is documentation, of course. system requirements and look at those cookbooks. If you want a quick access to the documentation, go to the cookbook first, and it'll have quick links, HTML links in there for you to view or to click on, so you get right to the documentation. It's updated regularly, and that's for the cookbooks. And make sure you get your backups and snapshots. Clean up your snapshots. Thank you, Caitlin. Appreciate you coming aboard, and ZCC and ZRS. So you can connect. I guess it sounds like you're using ZRS, so that's good. Let's go ahead and hit a close here, and it'll refresh. And then if we go home, we can, it didn't, it obviously, this is first time configuration, so it's configured. Didn't tell us we had to reboot. However, if we wanted to, ZENworks reporting and appliance. Let's go back here, close this. Okay, so if we wanted to add a domain, sorry if I went too quick on that. I went ahead and went to ZENworks reporting configuration. You can go to the domain configuration, and we have the 3 that we already configured, and we're going to add service desk. And in this case, we're going to do it from a resource file. And there's a TID out there that talks about where you can grab these files. Hang on a second. Wouldn't be fair not to show you that. Let's go Microfolks, ZENworks. We'll go here. And the category is domain. Oh. Not there. Let's do a search. Here it is. Microfocus Service Desk Domains. Jason published this a bit back, and it tells you step by step how to install these. And some ad hoc views, which he's gonna come on board in a week or so to give us some demonstrations of this. But you have work with 7.2 and higher, no store objects, 7.3 and higher with store objects. You basically pick your database and then download it. So our service desk database is Microsoft SQL. And so we're going to select that. We'll save the file. It'll be in downloads. So when we go back over here and we want to browse for that resource file, we'll go to downloads. We'll select the zip. Server address, 192.168.1.230. So let's, I was going to pull up my notes on that. Hang on, I'm having some sizing difficulties here. Again, it's back to this documentation here that I kind of prepped with. The service desk database is 230, so we're going to use that. Database name is service desk. Let's go look at our database. Oh, it's going to be on have an issue with my mouse in this mode with, let's move this down. Did I have it on my sheet? No, that's one thing I didn't put on here. So again, we're searching for oh, yeah, it's going to be the essay. I apologize. Let me minimize this. We'll go here. This is the essay for, because I don't have Windows authentication, I have the database authentication. See if I got the password right. Okay. Let me go back to here. Let me go over here. Windows just gives me a hard time here. Snapshot. Manager. My essay. Yeah, I thought I typed that in. Cannot connect. Server address is 230, Postgres, browse, and password. Let me log in with that. Essay. I did the famous faux pas yesterday when I did my demo, and I wrote it all down and then I reverted everything. Yeah. Sure enough. Okay, security. Users. Okay. Connect. Let me go. Sorry for this delay here. We're gonna go. And I had it all written down. Yeah, that works there. Caps lock on? It's not. Let's go here. That's it. Okay, let's cancel this. We're going to ping from the server, make sure we got a connection here. Yeah, we got a ping. We can see. All right, let's go back. Add server address. We're going to do resource file, browse, data source. Oh, I got too excited. Didn't pay attention. Database name. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's going to be SA and Novell for my test environment. I think I hit it twice. There we go. So now we got the Micro Focus service domain, in. Sorry about that delay. Let's hit OK. Now you notice that there's an asterisk here, indicates configuration modified. Click Apply Changes. We'll select Apply Changes and it'll go through its configuration again for that domain. We're going to go ahead and jump on into the service desk. I'm sorry, we're going to jump into ZRS 91. Oh, it's restarting. So I got to wait for the configuration to finish. So we have ZCC and ZRS out there, guys. Again, utilize that, prop up an appliance. It's as easy as to get that domain in there. It's as easy as configuration as we saw here, as long as you get the database right? And you can start reporting on very detailed aspects. I've seen Jason actually report on how many people have brought in ZCM bundles and launched them and placed service tickets on those bundles. So he's combined both of them. It was just, you can do intense things here. And with the latest Jasper Studio, that's what I was trying to say, Jasper Studio, it's the latest one, so you should be able to get good performance out of that. So let's, we're gonna wait on this for a second. Are there any other questions on connecting or registering Service Desk to ZCM, or ZCM to Service Desk? We're just kind of connecting the dots together so that then we can work as a unified reporting system. You still have these reports in here, but this will get you much more detailed reports, as we'll see in the next week or so when Jason comes aboard. The different things you can actually do to it. There are some very good tips out there on how to make ad hoc reports. So be aware that ZENworks reporting for Service Desk and ZENworks reporting for ZCM, there's some pretty good details out in the community for putting those reports together. So if we did and for instance, batch management for compliance. Okay. Of course, this is using ZCC, but you can also do your ZENworks reporting server. Very detailed specifics on how to set that up so you can get the latest and greatest out of your reporting. 20%. Let's go back. Let's see what other reports there might be. All right, administrator rights. So who's reporting on the administrators, right? So you set up your audit so that you can, so you have the watchdog, right? Which is your ZENworks administrators watching the system, but who's watching them? So this is the audit is a great way to watch them as well and see what their production is and being able to report on their activity as well. So be aware that those are out there. Customize ad hoc template reports, and you know these have been out there for a while. It's good information. Licensed product allocation report, a predefined report created to provide allocation and installation details of licensed products. Publicly available. This is how you set up. So others, Ron set it out there. This particular information on. So how does my manager get reports? You can set it up so these reports are scheduled run, and they can go out there and basically get those reports that they're looking for how many devices do we manage, how many devices need retirement this year, which means I have to order more. There's a compliance and patch, customized service desk reports, content reporting package. So be aware that those are out there. This will take just a little bit longer to get through. And you'll be able to, let's see what else we have while we're waiting. Okay, content reporting package for content. Report. So you're actually reporting on ZENworks content. Seeing how that content's flowing. Reporting to generate ad hoc reports when a domain doesn't expose. What you want. I thought that's what he was going to say. Okay. He shared this over in Asia. He happened to document it. So we appreciate that from Jason. So he's very knowledgeable in this product, and I think we can get a lot of details. We're getting into the old stuff over here now. That's better. Okay, so be aware that you can even report on the ZMM. It looks like. Okay, I don't have much chat in chat. Was hoping to get a little bit more feedback, hoping I'm not putting people to sleep, as I said. I'm hoping this is informative to you. We're going to see this cycle through. Let me go into some of next week's details. We can put out a survey out there. Remember that we have this survey. So feel free to take that when you get a chance. It'll give us a little bit more information about you, your environment, and what you're looking for in ZENcast and what you would like to see. Because right now I'm just trying to take what I've gotten from those surveys and so forth to present to you. So I appreciate those that have put out those particular surveys so that I can help build this for you. I hope it's informative. And we're hoping that this reaches the ZENworks community and we can dig a little bit deeper into the ZENworks. Next week's agenda is a similar format. We'll have some, I'll get some TIDs out there for you. I'll work on getting the latest on, Q2 for webinars. Should be coming out probably in another, 3 weeks before the end of the pilot here. So we'll get those out to you. We'll have a demonstration on the value of the ZENworks reporting server. Now that you'll see how it's set up this week, next week Jason can take us through. I'm hoping he's available. He wanted to do this particular type of reporting. Just need confirmation that next week's going to happen for him. If not, we'll have somebody else and we'll do another demonstration. I have a list of lineups from your particular survey of what you requested, so we'll be able to, we have plenty to choose from. And if a question's not answered, once this is published out on YouTube, you'll be able to put comments in it. Please put comments. Please subscribe. If you like the content or dislike the content, do say so, because we want to have all the feedback that is available to make this for you. Micro Focus is behind it 100%, wanting to make sure that this either is something you want and not waste your time if it's not. So we're at 85% now. It looks like it's getting close. The next one will jump to, I believe, 100. So we will have guest speaker Jason Blackett. So far he's set up for next week. I'll send out another once this is published in YouTube, it will have next week's guest speaker. That's confirmed. So once we have that, it'll be confirmed on the bottom of the description of this particular broadcast. So be aware that that's there. Any questions out there while we wait for this 100% to come up? This is real time, so in effect, it really isn't too long. But for webcasting, it's longer than needed. But I'm trying to refrain from doing recordings so you can see the real-time aspect of it. When we do our training videos. I have a few training videos in queue about database upgrades and ZCM 2020 upgrades. I'll obviously compress that time down so you can see when it's installing. It takes 30, 45 minutes. I'll compress that. But here we have real time, trying to do the best we can to give you a true visual on what you need to do to set that up. Again, if you set aside, the different aspects, it makes it a little bit easier. Had I recognized sooner that this was a micro MS, the database was MS SQL for Service Desk, I would have not had that hiccup. But set something up like this when you're getting ready to do ZRS and connect to your different services, because this will help you narrow down and speed up your installation without having to dig and hunt like I had to do. Again, any questions, please put them in chat. Happy to discuss them with you, respond to them. Are we having any issues with ZRS? What's the toughest part of ZRS for you to use? Can I put that out there in chat? There's 100%. So can I put that out there in chat? What is difficult for you to use in ZRS? Is it the reporting aspect of it? Are the ad hoc reports not enough? If we go to home, we're pretty much set there. Let's go over to our service desk now that it's back up. So it's going to come up. Remember that username password was ZRS admin. You can assign other users as well. Let's log in. And if you look, you have a whole library of reports. Okay, bundle distribution, install details, and you can obviously add your own content by servers, content bundles and policies. Okay, we only have a single primary. Let's go, for instance, what would have bundle information? Let's go ahead and select that. It's going to reach out to ZENworks. It's going to pull in the bundle information. And then you can customize these as you need. You say, okay, which areas do we want to? We have a total of 21 folders available. Let's go licensed. Let's go pick a few here. Select. Oh, we can select them all, sure. And then we can select these individual and hit OK. It'll come back with those 5 devices. So the first part was what folders do you want to look in? Second part is this is what's in the folders. What do you want to select? So we have page 1 of 2 comes back. Bundle is enabled. Certain details. And you can, of course, I don't have too much assigned with those particular bundles, but you can obviously if they're assigned, you can see where they're assigned to. So it really is a nice comprehensive look at ZRS. Service Desk, I won't go into many of the different details on reporting. I'm not as experienced in this. We dig in when we need to, when we got defects and stuff, when you call in. I'm on the support side. I dabble a little bit, but I don't have any of mine in here to look at. I have not upgraded my previous reports into this one. This is brand new install. But we can see a diagnostic snapshot. So some of these reports might be good for maintenance, understanding what is going on with your system, what your memory is, and those types of things. So there are some very big advantages of this without having to dig through ZCC and taking screenshots and those types of things. So that's what I have for the demo today. We connected both ZSD and ZCM to ZRS. We connected ZCM to ZSD so that we can do the store. Any other questions on this particular demo? We want to thank Vikram for coming on out, product manager for ZENworks Configuration Management, taking time in his day and his evening to come on out and tell us a little bit more about what's coming up for you guys out in the field. And then we want to welcome Jason Blackett next week, as long as he can make it. If not, we'll have something else going on, but we hope to have him next week to show us a little bit more detail about the ZENworks reporting that we've discussed here. Not having any other questions in chat or any other things that to discuss, I hope you guys keep safe, keep washing your hands, washing your face, stay isolated, do your best to be safe out there so that we can all get through this. I appreciate you guys coming today and visiting with us and being able to see a little bit more about what's going on with the product. But most of all, we're thankful that you're here and that you're safe. We'll see you next week with more details. Thank you much.